The mockery begins. The Galactic Military Academy's primary firing range hummed with anticipation as cadets from 23 different species prepared for their final marksmanship evaluation. The massive facility stretched nearly 2 kilometers, its reinforced walls designed to contain the most powerful energy weapons in the galaxy. Overhead, holographic displays flickered with atmospheric readings and environmental controls that could simulate combat conditions on any known world. Sarah Reynolds knelt beside her equipment case, methodically unpacking components that looked ancient compared to the sleek weapons surrounding her. Her hands moved with practiced precision as she assembled what appeared to be a relic from humanity's violent past. The rifle was undeniably human in design, its dark metal frame worn smooth by countless hours of use. Where other cadets carried weapons that hummed with contained energy, Sarah's rifle remained silent and still. Marcus Webb, her fellow human cadet and childhood friend from the Kepler 442 colony, watched nervously as their alien classmates began to take notice of Sarah's unusual preparations. He clutched his standard-issue plasma rifle, the same weapon every other human cadet had chosen for the evaluation. The Academy had made it clear that while personal weapons were permitted, most instructors viewed anything other than modern energy weapons as a liability. The first snicker came from Vexthal, a mantoid cadet whose chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the artificial lighting, his compound eyes fixed on Sarah's rifle with obvious amusement as he addressed his companions in perfectly accented standard Galactic. "Look at the human female," he clicked, his mandibles spreading in what passed for a grin among his species. "Still using projectile weapons like some primitive hunter." The comment drew attention from nearby cadets, and soon a small crowd had gathered. Gurnak, a massive Kralon whose gray skin bore the ritual scars of his warrior caste, let out a rumbling laugh that made the floor vibrate. "Chemical propulsion and metal slugs," he boomed, his voice carrying across half the firing range. "Perhaps she plans to throw rocks if she runs out of bullets." Other cadets joined the mockery, their various forms of laughter creating a cacophony that echoed through the vast chamber. A group of Zephyrians, their blue-scaled skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, whispered among themselves in their musical language while gesturing towards Sarah's equipment. Even the usually stoic crystalline delegates, beings of living mineral who rarely showed emotion, seemed to radiate disapproval through subtle changes in their optical patterns. Sarah remained focused on her task, seemingly oblivious to the growing crowd of observers. She extended the rifle's bipod legs with mechanical precision, adjusting each one until the weapon sat perfectly level on the firing line. Her movements were economical and practiced, each action flowing naturally into the next. She attached a scope that looked primitive compared to the holographic targeting systems used by energy weapons, then began loading ammunition from a box of brass-cased cartridges. "Instructor Kethvar should stop this before she embarrasses herself," muttered Zixara, a hegemony cadet whose telepathic abilities had made her one of the top performers in tactical planning courses. "It's almost cruel to let her continue with such inadequate equipment." Marcus stepped closer to his friend, concern evident in his voice. "Sarah, maybe you should reconsider. Everyone else is using energy weapons. The evaluation parameters might be optimized for those systems." Sarah looked up from her preparations, her brown eyes calm and focused. "This rifle belonged to my grandfather," she said quietly, her voice carrying despite its soft tone. "And his grandfather before him. It's never let a Reynolds down." She turned back to her work, running a cleaning rod through the barrel with practiced motions that spoke of countless hours of maintenance. The mockery intensified as other cadets noticed her archaic cleaning routine. Vexthal's clicking grew louder, and soon he was entertaining a growing audience with exaggerated imitations of Sarah's methodical movements. "Perhaps she needs to sharpen her bullets next," he suggested, causing fresh waves of laughter. Gurnak pointed one massive finger at the ammunition box. "Look at that container. Actual physical storage for individual projectiles. My weapon's energy cell contains enough power for 10,000 shots, and it weighs less than 5 of her bullets." The attention was beginning to draw notice from the instructors, though most seemed content to let the cadets settle their differences through performance rather than intervention. Only Instructor Kethvar, a battle-scarred Zephyrian whose blue scales had faded to silver with age, watched the scene with growing interest. His enhanced hearing picked up details others missed. The precision of Sarah's movements, The way she tested each component before assembly, the careful attention to environmental factors that most cadets ignored completely. As Sarah completed her setup, she began what appeared to be a ritual of preparation that was utterly foreign to her alien classmates. She lay prone behind her rifle, pressing her cheek to the stock with practiced familiarity. Her breathing slowed and deepened as she peered through the scope, scanning the distant target range with methodical precision. She seemed to be studying factors that others ignored, watching patterns in air currents, noting variations in lighting, calculating angles and distances with nothing but her eyes and experience. "What is she even doing?" asked Neetha, a Gracile cadet whose species prided itself on efficiency above all else. "The targeting computers handle environmental calculations automatically. She's wasting time with primitive manual calculations." But Instructor Kethvar's expression had grown thoughtful. He moved closer to observe Sarah's technique, his trained eye recognizing something the younger cadets missed. He had served in the Void Wars, fighting alongside warriors from dozens of species. He had learned to recognize the subtle signs that separated true veterans from merely trained soldiers. What he saw in Sarah's movements triggered old memories, whispers from the frontier wars about human specialists who could accomplish the impossible with weapons their enemies dismissed as obsolete. The range fell quiet as the final preparation period ended. Energy weapons hummed to life around Sarah as her fellow cadets activated their targeting systems and weapon protocols. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing range data, wind calculations, and targeting solutions. The air filled with the electronic whine of charging capacitors and the subtle vibration of contained plasma. Sarah's rifle remained silent, but those watching closely might have noticed the absolute stillness that had settled over her. She had become motionless as stone, her breathing so controlled it was barely visible. Through her scope, she studied the range with the patience of a hunter who knew that the first shot might be the only shot that mattered. The mockery had died to whispers, but the anticipation was palpable. Everyone wanted to see how badly the human would fail when matched against modern military technology. What they didn't realize was that they were about to witness something far more dangerous than advanced weapons, the product of generations of human military tradition, refined in the crucible of frontier warfare where second place meant death.